All right. Good morning, boys. Happy to have you here. Wanted to do something a little bit new here besides writing, and kind of talk about what's kind of happening in the league as we are basically halfway done with the season with 6 weeks down the drain. I have my friend here, Austin Brown, who is the owner of Brownie Stud Muffins, to kind of talk some football. It's something that we do for our other league, so we kind of wanted to bring that magic here for this week, and see to kind of go from there. But we are going to kind of start off and get right into it. Like I said, we're going to kind of go through some power rankings. I really want to talk about these top teams that are basically making that push for that ring this season. So kind of briefly to go through the standings real quick. Let's go through these top four teams. We have Team Mac and Corey. Number two, we have Waterling to playoffs. So Alexis's team. We have Fielding Dubs, which is me, and the Fountain of Youth, which is the Lead brothers. So kind of want to jump in straight into Mac's team here. Obviously, you see 5-1. I think we're all aware of Mac's team. He has the juggernaut of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson on the same exact team. Kind of said this in the power rankings this past when I wrote it in the beginning of the season. Just something that you see, and it's something that is completely frightening. Um, Honestly, you when you see this team on paper, it has so much upside. I wish he is going through some injuries and things. He has Devon Achan, and then he has Kyron Williams. Like Max honestly getting a little bit lucky here with some of his draft picks. I don't know if he's an NFL scout or something, but he's hitting on these pickups, hitting on um the trades. So what do you think about Austin? What do you think about this team?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like he definitely was getting a little luck with some of these names and how they're performing. Um, if you go to his bench a little bit, I want to check out his depth. I mean, right, Zach Moss completely worked out for him.
Yep.
That's annoying. Uh, Jalen Warren was a good pick. That's actually like good scouting. Um, Pierce, I think he's had Pierce for a couple years, so Pierce worked out for him. Gibbs is a good draft pick. A-Chain's a good draft pick. I mean, he's just got so much depth. Like that's when we were just talking about this on our other podcast. Like the depth is what's going to get you to the chip,
Yes,
right? So
sir.
that's where he is succeeding right now. Like if you look at the starting lineup, he doesn't have a bad starting lineup. Obviously, he's in first place, but Michael Thomas is a question mark. He's performing this season, but like preseason, you're like, really, Michael Thomas is in your starting lineup? Sure. DeAndre Hopkins, he's on his way out, but you know what? He'll still score you double digits when he has the opportunity. So because of your depth, because of your immense depth, that's why you are where you're at.
Yeah.
You got Pittman on your bench, you got A-Chain injured on your bench. Luckily, you have Mostert, so you basically own, the Miami backfield. Bijan's doing well this year. I mean, we all kind of saw that coming. Derek Carr is an amazing quarterback too for your bye weeks for Lamar and Patrick. Depth is going to drag you to the chip. I mean, will you have the firepower on that day? It will end up at the championship. That is to be seen. But it's definitely not a no. It's not a
Oh,
no.
he's for sure in the running, like Mac's team, Mac and Corey's team. So he's even positioned for the future. Like this team is
Oh
gonna
yeah,
this
absolutely.
this team is gonna be pretty scary.
I mean, you have Lamar. The only reason that his team would not be also able to compete in the future is if Lamar has a career-ending injury. Because Lamar and Patrick are both so young, you can always saying, okay,
Always,
I'll
always
rebuild.
start him. Always, and then looking at some draft picks, he has your first for next upcoming season, so he could even add more to his team, kind of moving forward.
Yep.
Even if he wants to trade that, or if he wants to wait until draft day. But like this team looks good. Dalton Kincaid at tight end,
Yeah.
just chilling there,
He's got
for,
immense,
for the
immense
future.
depth.
It's Mac and Corey's team is definitely one to be very, very fearful of for. So
Yeah.
not really much to
Yeah.
get into there anymore. Number two, which is kind of a Alexis's team, kind of one that I am shocked that is here. I definitely wrote him off after he traded away Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure if you remember that trade, like Tyreek Hill for they swapped some first, and then he got Cortland Sutton in the mix. Actually, I could bring it up right here. Um, so he got traded away Tyreek Hill. They swapped some first. He gave away the second and got a fourth. So they swapped seconds as well and got a fourth. So
Hmm.
definitely a trade that he is regretting every single day, honestly, because Tyreek Hill is amazing. But yeah, I mean, you look at this team, he's in second place. There's someone that's not here listed right now because he has a bye week, but it's Adam Thielen who has been hooking his team up. Adam
Well,
Thielen,
there's also Chase too.
yes, yes, yes. But yeah, but you expect that from Chase. Adam Thielen is right now, I think he's the number three wide receiver in the league right now.
Oh,
Just
you're saying like a
yeah,
surprise earner? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. So incredible. So that's definitely what's helping Alexis's team get to this second place. But obviously, you look at this team right now, and it's very interesting. I definitely wrote off Alvin Kamara, but Alvin Kamara has become the PPR legend again. He has been going absolutely insane since he came back from his suspension. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
The old man got some rest.
oh, he got the rest for sure. So you look at his quarterbacks, Jared Goff, he has Dak as well, who's on bye. Bryce Young was the one that he selected with his 102 pick. Bryce Young is definitely not someone who has panned out, but he is a rookie. We just had this conversation once again,
Yeah.
this last podcast about like young quarterbacks. You got to let them chill. You got to let them rest. Let them marinate a little bit, and we're going to see what's going to be happening in year two, year three. And I think that's something that Alexis is aware about. But I am interested in your thoughts about this team, like moving forward. Like, do you think this team is a fraud, or do you think this team actually has some championship capabilities here?
I mean, no, not championship. It will be a playoff team. When I see this team, I see a bunch of big names that will perform. Um, I don't see, I don't, uh, opposite of the last team that we just spoke about, I don't see the depth that is required um, to make it all the way, right? When you put Jamar Chase and Thielen in that lineup, you're saying, okay, we got some big hitters. We do, like they're there. But then you go to his flex positions and Marquise. I mean, listen, actually, here's a good statement. Kyler Murray comes back and Marquise Brown turns into the dude.
Yep,
Then
that's
we have a
my
different story.
that's
We have
my
a different
exact thought.
story.
I
Yeah,
think
we have a
Marquise
different story.
Brown is gonna. I think
Pop
Marquise
off.
he's already been doing some damage.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is
yeah,
he's definitely top 20. Yeah, number 18 of the season. And
yeah,
he's only gonna get better.
yeah. I cannot use Cortland Sutton and contender in the same sentence. It just doesn't that doesn't correlate. So I mean, if you fill in his true starters, his team looks a lot nicer. Jared Goff is having one heck of a season, which was not expected. Dak Prescott's having one horrible of a season, which I absolutely love as a Giants fan. I just I don't know. I just don't think when you compare it to the Corey Mack team, I don't see it happening. Could you potentially end up there against Mack and Corey? Sure, but I just don't
Hey,
see the
this
firepower.
team always finds a way. So this team has been
Not
in the
wrong.
championship the last two seasons. So
You are not wrong.
we shall see. But I will say I think this team is gonna go as far as Adam Thielen and Marquise Brown is going to take them. Even some Joe Mixon action. Obviously, Jamar Chase is awesome. You need to keep doing what he's doing, but not an awful starting lineup, really. But I do agree with you about the whole depth issue. That's
Does he have
something I
another
need.
running back?
He has Joe Mixon. Besides,
Oh,
after
okay.
that, he
I
does not.
missed Mixon. Um, I don't know. I don't want to sound harsh. He's got a good team. He's got a good team. I just don't have the vibes of the chip. But you're
No,
right. He's
hey,
been there the last 2 years.
I counted him out. I think I had him in my power rankings for the preseason. Like he was in the bottom. He was fighting for that 101. So the fact that he's
Yeah.
4-2 sitting here is pretty remarkable to me. So happy for him. I guess next we'll talk about my team here. So obviously, I got a lot of feelings about my team. I look at this every single day. I'm just like, what is this train wreck of a team right now? So we're just surviving. We have Deshaun Watson who refuses to play football because he hurt his shoulder. Whatever, figure it out. We have Justin Fields who's ruled out for the week, messed up his finger. You said this he dislocated his thumb, so I started Rashid Shaheed in my super flex spot, hoping for a Hail Mary of a touchdown on Thursday. you know, Looking at this team, I don't know. That's things are not going in the direction that I wanted it to go in. I traded for J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers, hoping to get some more running back depth, and that completely just went down the drain. So I'm struggling for some depth after I thought that was one of my biggest strengths going into this offseason.
Yeah, that's devastating.
Khalil Herbert is also on the IR. Debo Samuel is out. We're definitely just going through some tough times here. I will say I'm happy I have my picks for next year. I don't know. I'm thinking about going shopping, but I think these next couple of weeks are really going to dictate what's really going to happen for me. I don't really think I'm going to go on a massive fire sale or anything. I think this team is still good. I think it has great potential. AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson are definitely holding me up for wide receiver. Christian Kirk has been an amazing person to have this season and last season. So super
Yeah.
undervalued. And I think he's going to continue moving forward as Trevor Lawrence is like number one wide receiver that he kind of looks at. This team is going to go as far as the quarterbacks. What do you think? And I know you obviously have some feelings about my quarterbacks as we talk about this all the time. So let's hear it.
I mean, in the other podcast, we talked about Justin Fields and how you want him to be your quarterback too. So at least that's your situation. Like any
Yeah.
given week, he will win you the week because of a 37, 41, 50 point random explosion. So that's fun. I mean, hopefully that happens for you in the playoffs at some point. I think you are a playoff team. I think you have more depth than, Lexus's team that we just talked about. Um, when I go to your bench and I see Debo Samuel, I see KJ Osborne because of the Justin Jefferson situation. I see Elijah Moore. He's annoying because he hasn't really scored yet, but he gets so many targets. I see Garrett Wilson. Um, your running backs are upsetting, but Cam Akers, maybe he takes over in Minnesota. He hasn't really had the time there to figure that out. The running back thing is very unfortunate, and that's why I try to invest so much more in wide receivers. But you also do have wide receiver investments, so it's not like a problem. Christian Kirk needs to keep doing what he's doing. In my opinion, so you said it kind of determines on the quarterbacks. I think because your quarterbacks have so much upside on like a week to week basis, just random explosions. I think Watson hasn't really done it, and he's being an absolute baby with the shoulder. But if he
Hey,
comes
he's
back
supposed to
and
play today. He's supposed to play today though, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah,
You know.
if he comes back and he's not babying the shoulder, he can explode on any given week just because of what we know he's capable from his previous team. I think that you're going to sink or swim based off of Christian Kirk and Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts continues his current like double digit scoring and remains a top 5 tight end for the rest of the season, if he doesn't continue to excel, maybe he continues to excel through the end of the season, which is what we've all been waiting for a couple of years. And if Christian Kirk becomes the number one again in Jacksonville because Ridley is not really doing the full job that he was in the beginning of the season, I think those two are the guys that are going to carry you to the promised land. I think when Debo comes back, he'll score points. When Wilson's off of his bye week, he'll score points that'll give you 2 consistent flex positions. All your other teams' players are pretty consistent. It's going to be, will Kirk and Pitts remain, you know, 15 plus point
Yeah.
scorers the rest of the season? I think I think they will be the ones that carry you
You
to where
definitely
you
also
hopefully want to
mentioned
go.
Madison, who has been picking it up these last two weeks overall.
Just having double digit points in
Yeah,
general is
like he
a
he is
beautiful
just
thing. Yeah.
he is just kind of doing his job, and I want him to keep doing that. So,
Yeah.
it's
Well, the thing
unfortunate.
is, if he doesn't, you have Akers. Like if
Exactly,
he
it's
doesn't, you
unfortunate that
have the
Cam
next guy.
Akers went to the Vikings, though. It's very unfortunate that happened because now I have two people basically competing against each other. So,
Yeah, for
um,
depth purposes, it would have been better to have him go to a different team. But I think that there's points to be scored on the Vikings running game, and I don't think Cam Akers is the stud. So,
yes,
I'm sorry, not Cam Akers. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Madison. I don't think Madison is the stud. I think Cam Akers has the ability or has more ability than Madison. So maybe that switch will happen at some point.
Hey, we'll see if that does happen. Going next to the Fountain of Youth, a team that's been making some movements these past couple weeks. So they acquired Romeo Dobbs, I believe, for a second and a fourth. So definitely interesting pickup there. He's been having a pretty solid season
Smart trade.
with Jordan Love. It's a good depth piece.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a smart trade. It's just smart.
everything
I
does.
don't think
Yeah,
anyone loses. I don't think anyone wins or
exactly.
loses that trade.
Every
I think it's just smart.
nothing crazy and flashy. But definitely a good move to make here. And then he also just acquired Tony Pollard, and Dalton Schultz for Roshan Johnson and 2 seconds. And what was the other piece that we're missing here? There's someone else. And Curtis Samuel. So
Fourth. Oh, never mind. You're right.
yeah, Curtis
Curtis
Samuel.
Samuel. Yep.
So I will say Curtis Samuel has quietly been having like a good flex season. So it's definitely interesting to see that he traded him away, like the fountain of youth. I guess he wanted a better tight end. They're starting David Njoku, and I'm not really too familiar who else. Yeah, so that's really what they needed, that tight end upgrade. So they're moving forward with Dalton Schultz moving forward, because obviously David Njoku has not done anything this season, unfortunately, after
Yeah.
having such a lot of preseason buzz that he's going to be connecting with Deshaun Watson. But as we just talked about, Deshaun Watson is not playing
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
But the true strength of this team, you see, are the wide receivers. Devontae Adams has actually kind of been banged up, so we'll see if he honestly comes back to life this week. Tyreek Hill has been an absolute stud.
Mhm.
Unbelievable, on pace for over 2K yards with his goal. This team also has Justin Jefferson. Obviously, he's on the IR for a couple of weeks, but once he comes back, hopefully he comes back. This team's going to get rolling. George Pickens has been someone that's been pretty awesome. Tyler Lockett, always underrated, but he actually has not been holding his value this season.
The first time in a long time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see if Tyler Lockett kind of makes this resurrection here, or is James
I think it's actually Gino's fault, but that's a
Gino's
whole
not
nother
been having
conversation.
Gino has not been having the best season.
Yeah.
But I do believe the Seahawks just got out of their bye. I think they are going to come roaring now. I think they have to start figure it out. They have a good team. I think
They're
that
run well. They're run well. They got a good
they are.
coaching staff.
I don't think they're
So
just going to completely plummet or anything.
that's a good bet. That's a good bet.
The one thing that I see here is just like the quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett. They do have Joe Burrow, and CJ Stroud. So actually a pretty solid quarterback depth team here.
Yeah, he'll be
Um,
selling soon.
yeah, we'll see. And these are some good quarterbacks to have.
Yep.
I guess the weak point here really is just like this running back but situation, but they just got Tony Pollard. Najee Harris has been absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Like, look at this. Like, I don't know if anyone projected this happening, but the Najee Harris fall off is so sad and
A lot of
interesting.
people projected it actually. Not like
But
in our league, but like, around
yeah,
Dynasty, a lot of people projected it because
the
they
next
saw
the
Warren's
next Trent Richardson.
efficiency.
So yeah, the
Yeah.
next Trent Richardson essentially. Look at this. But
Yeah.
his rookie season, running back 3, and then 14 last season. Now he's at 45, and I don't think it's getting any better this season. So
Yeah, no, if you
definitely,
look at his efficiency per run, he's very inefficient.
it's awful. It's fair,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Well, he
a
was
lot
the
of
volume
people.
guy.
I would say, but people that are bailing him out, obviously, like I love this whole dynasty stuff. I'm on Twitter. I'm listening to podcasts all the time. But a lot of people were blaming the Steelers. The Steelers offensive line for being super weak. So they thought they were going to
Yeah.
be elevated this season. So he was going to be put up. So it's definitely a very kind of interesting. But what do you think about when you see this team? Obviously, these are one of the teams that are running it for the championship. They are going for this win by trading for Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, Romeo Dobbs. What is your thoughts on
Yeah.
this?
I don't know who you're going to start between Love and Stroud the rest of the season, but when Burrow's back at the helm, not on a bye week, and now that you have Pollard instead of Harris, I honestly would probably pick White to stay in rather than Harris. Um, you might, if you have the pieces, want to make another run for a middling running back, just somebody just in case.
Yeah, he's got picks.
Yeah. And like you might even want to take Zach Evans off of your taxi squad because if he ends up starting, to do all right over there in Los Angeles, then I you have the pieces to be a deep playoff contender. I think, sorry, Jay, I think this team has more of a chance than you and Alexis.
Yeah,
That's
I
where
would.
that's where I'm at. But it's
I'm not
gonna be
here.
you're gonna have to ride CJ Stroud or Love. I think CJ Stroud or Love and your second running back is gonna be your Achilles heel. Now that you have Schultz, Your wide receivers are fine. They should get you double digits every single week, which is really all you're looking for. And every now and then you'll get a spike from Adams. Tyreek is always a spike. Maybe every now and then you'll get a spike from Lockett, a spike from Pickett. That's what I like to do with my wide receivers. I want to have depth that's going to get me double digits. I'm looking for 9 to 13 points every single week, but they also have the ability to spike.
Yeah,
Dobbs has the ability to spike. Lockett has the ability to spike.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's
You want them to
perfect.
have a very like decent floor, and then if their
Yes.
ceiling is insane, it's good
Yeah.
to go.
So now that you have Pollard, you have at least a running back hero setup where Pollard's always going to get a certain amount of points. So if you can get a high floor but middling running back number two, which White could be that guy, but I would want another one just in case. I mean, you could say Najee, but Najee's just scary right now. Um,
Najee's not doing it right now.
yeah, I mean, maybe use Kenny and Najee and just get a mild, not together, but either individually or whatever, and try to, come up with another running back opportunity. Uh, you know, if people were interested. Like I said, I think this team ends up. I think currently this team is my number two team. You know,
Okay,
I think this is my
there
core. I think this is my second in the running for the chip team at
you
the
have it
moment.
there. I would say this next team is probably it for me, and like the possibility of people who are gonna like win a championship, to be honest. And the last one is probably gonna be Berto's team. So
Yeah,
obviously you see Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor back from his injury or whatever the heck was going on in the Colts. So that's honestly a huge win for this team. No one really thought Jonathan Taylor was really going to be playing for the Colts this season. I, in fact, did not think he was going to be playing for the Colts after all of that
drama.
beef with like his general manager and all of that. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, they weren't fans of each other. So very good to see Jonathan Taylor come back. But it's going to be interesting to see like when he gets his usual workload back. Zach Moss has been nothing but honestly incredible. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do a little bit of this like committee action that like everybody in the NFL does nowadays. So you look at this team and it's a strong one. But I
Yeah,
would say
go to that
there,
bench.
you want me to go
That
to the
bench, it's a strong team, man.
yeah,
There's a
no,
lot of running back depth. There's immense running back depth,
yes.
and he's still sitting CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
I mean, bye week, not sitting.
Yeah.
So, when you throw Mark Andrews into the picture, I don't know, maybe for me, Berto ties second place. Maybe he's like, 1.5.
This
I put
team,
I put I put those three teams at the top.
this team has always, Burrow's team's also always been strong like this.
He
But
does deal with a lot of injuries.
he never gets over that hump. Burrow's actually made the playoffs every single season, but he always loses in his first matchup, which is pretty heartbreaking. But
Yeah.
let's see if he goes over that hump this week. But I would say Devontae Smith, obviously has not been performing that well, this season. He had his
It'll change.
first 2 weeks exactly, and I think
It'll change.
that's exactly what I was gonna get into right there. Like I don't think it's gonna stay like that. It's gonna be mixed up. AJ Brown's just been going absolutely nuclear these past couple of weeks, but Devontae Smith should be picking up. Isaiah Pacheco has been amazing. That's someone who you want as your running back to keep him there forever. He's only going to continue to be doing it. A really big, honestly, benefit that Berto's gotten is Puka. Puka has
Yeah.
been a shining star for fantasy this season.
Yeah.
Obviously Cooper Cup is back, but he's still getting these targets. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes moving forward. Jahan Dotson has been an absolute bust this season, but like you said, he has CD Lamb to kind of come up. He has Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, he's injured unfortunately.
He's
Miles,
also got Tajay Spears because there's all
yeah,
these talks about Derrick Henry going to a contending team.
yeah,
So he's going to have even more potential running back depth.
that is so true. That's another depth piece right there. But this team really
I
does.
also think I hate to cut you off, Jason. I also think
Oh, they're good.
I think Miles Sanders is going to have a better, season after this bye week. I think that he's been extremely inefficient. I also think he's been injured since week one, and I think maybe after this bye week rest, he will, bounce back. Now, ready on this team, it doesn't matter And what I was gonna say out loud is, guys, go ask Berto for a trade. Like he's got so much. He's got too much. He doesn't need this much depth. This is insane.
Now,
Derrick
Bert,
Henry, Tajay Spears, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, like plus the two guys above Pacheco and who's he got above Pacheco?
Jonathan Taylor,
Taylor.
Derrick
Come
Henry.
on.
Yeah.
Start selling, Berto. What are we doing? Why are we holding all these things?
Berto's definitely a holder. He doesn't want to really
No.
big
No,
big
he's not.
splashes. He doesn't want to make big splash like that.
No, he's not.
And he's got QJs. So it's interesting. But I would say that's sort of kind of like really where I cut it off on like the teams that are really gonna be making a push. Actually, this is so shocking that the Bash Bros, they just literally slipped my mind here. So Bash Bros have been pretty incredible overall since this league has started, but they're sitting at 2-4. But I'm not sure if you noticed this. They actually have the
The
highest.
most
Yes,
points. Yeah.
that's some upsetting stuff.
I don't put them in my top three teams because of their start. Like this could be a team that makes the playoffs and is like the sixth seed and then gets beaten first round and it's just unfortunate.
Look at this
They could
team.
no listen, they could compete with anybody. I'm not saying that
Oh,
they can't.
anybody, every single
I'm
week.
just saying, the unfortunate truth that you didn't have Cooper Cup for 4 weeks, the unfortunate truth that DJ Moore is up and down and you just don't know what you're gonna get out of him. Um, if you slide down, does he have enough depth?
So
Mike Evans got injured.
the big problem here is definitely his quarterback depth, and I would just say depth overall. Like,
Yeah,
there's really no one here that you're starting. Like,
that's the so
there's no
like
one you're starting here confidently.
on a week to week basis, he could beat anybody. But when we go to the playoffs and the playoffs is about consistency, that's where it's going to suck. Especially if he has players that have like injuries or any injury from here on out, it's over.
I
Because
for
if
sure he needs his team to stay healthy, or it's things are not going to be going well. He really
yeah, I mean, that lineup looks gorgeous. Like
it
that is
does.
a beautiful
Yes.
thing to look at.
My exact thoughts. This needs to be the team that's on the field come playoffs. And if anybody goes down, I don't know if things are going to be going the way he
You might
wants.
not, yeah, you might not be able to make up from it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see if
Does he have picks? Does he have
I was about to
capital?
say it's going to be interesting to see if the Bash Bros, they start buying up.
Trying
They
to
still
acquire
have
some
their
depth.
they still have their first. They have their first in both of the next two seasons, which are obviously the ones that are
Hey,
available.
hey, I love first round picks.
Yeah, we're gonna get into your team in a little bit here, but I agree with you. Not a lot of depth, but this is a power squad right here.
Yeah,
They can upset pretty much anyone every single week, and there's a reason why they have the most points forced points in the league. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
this team is gonna go as far as Josh Allen has been pretty
As far
incredible.
as its health,
Cooper Cup, Travis Kelce, like it's gonna go as far as the studs. If
yeah,
these studs can continue to be studly and
yeah,
make up for some of the bad weeks that potentially like James Cook essentially has been having. Mike
yeah,
Evans is pretty roller coaster. Gabe Davis has actually been pretty consistent this season. So
yeah.
it's this is definitely an interesting one, and it's so shocking to see them at 2-4, number 8 spot there. But all right, let's round it up with these last four teams. We have AR 15. Unfortunately, they lost Anthony Richardson, as you can see there. I would say Anthony Richardson is probably the biggest steal of the draft, right after CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud went like the 109 in this league. Anthony Richardson,
I think CJ Stroud is the
yeah,
biggest steal.
and then Anthony Richardson was obtained at the 105. So
Telling you,
really,
man, these quarterbacks.
these
No one wants to
quarterbacks,
hear me.
yes,
No one wants to hear me.
you're the quarterback king. You're the quarterback king. You love them. Um,
Unbelievable.
I don't know. This team is so interesting to me every single time I look at it. I want to count them out. I want to count them in. Start us off here. Obviously, if you have CMC, you're always feeling good. But what are your thoughts? You're looking at this.
Ayuk is interesting because he is the new number one in San Francisco. So if Purdy continues to progress and Purdy continues to just be on the trajectory that he's on, Ayuk is a great longevity piece. Javante Williams is a great longevity piece. He just needs to get healthy. So next year, DK Metcalf is a good fantasy piece to have, in my opinion, as your wide receiver 3. If DK Metcalf is your wide receiver 3, that means you are in an amazing wide receiver position, because DK is going to always get you double digits, but it's not always going to be flashy. So if you can acquire, like if Christian Watson turns into the true number 1 of Green Bay and is that guy who's always getting the deep bombs, then there you go. There's your 3 wide receivers. TJ Hawkinson, awesome, 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 awesome. You don't need 2 tight ends. Like, go sell. That's just 2 tight ends is like the craziest thing in the world. It's like you're just saying to yourself every week, yeah, I might suck, right? Like a tight
No,
end
but
might
it
literally
is
score
true.
1 point in a week. It just happens.
I would say TJ Hawkinson is probably one of the better tight ends to have though. But
Oh yeah, but
Evan,
so is Evan. I mean, listen, they're
yeah,
both
yeah, yeah.
good tight ends to have,
You give
but
yourself
no,
you give yourself not a very high ceiling, but
yeah.
you're looking for that like 10-point mark.
But like we just talked about it. We have like somebody who doesn't have a tight end and who is competing will give you a quality wide receiver just to have their team balanced out with a tight end. Would
Yeah.
you rather a wide receiver who you know is going to score 10 to 12 points a week with potential upside, like a good wide receiver too? Like, I would trade Evan Ingram for Jordan Addison right now. It wouldn't even be a question. It would be
Yeah,
an
but
automatic trade.
don't you have Jordan Addison? Who has Jordan Addison?
I'm just saying,
Oh.
no, no, no. I'm saying if I'm the guy who owns a tight end like that, that's the type of
Oh,
wide
you're
receiver
not
I'm
getting
looking
you're
for.
not getting Jordan Addison for Evan Ingram. That is some crazy
if
talk.
if I'm, let's say, because I'm not a competitor. Let's say I'm a competitor and I was lucky enough to get, a Jordan Addison, a Jackson Smith and Jigba, a um a Zay Flowers, and I was going to win the chip this year, but my only piece that was not working for me was tight end. I would sell any one of those pieces straight up, preferably for TJ Hawkinson, but odds are that wouldn't work. So I would also do it for Evan Ingram
Yeah.
from
Interesting.
that specific scenario. So what I'm saying is Evan Ingram should fetch you a young wide receiver too, which would help your team.
I will say, I was definitely interested in Evan Ingram when I was kind of like looking at this like all for the past couple weeks because obviously Kyle Pitts hasn't really panned out, but it'd be interesting. I do think that this team would be more in like in a buy situation kind of feel. Like it's not like they're
Yeah,
completely ruled out from the playoffs. Like
yeah.
this team looks strongish. It definitely has some it can make a push. I know they
Well,
just lost James they
They
lost
lost. Well,
James
here's the
Conner.
thing. Yeah, let's not get crazy here because what do the draft picks look like?
They only have a second and third, fourth, fifth. They lost their
Is
first.
there is there another living quarterback on that team?
There is not. Daniel Jones is dead.
So we can't get ahead of ourselves. Yes, we like his wide receivers, we
So
like
Dan,
his tight
they
ends, we
actually
like,
don't have a starting quarterback for
yeah.
this season.
So he would have to he can't, unless he's willing to, give up 24 capital, which he doesn't really have anyway. Unless he's willing to give up 24 and 25 capital, he's not going to have a quarterback. So
So what
so
you're saying, he needs to sell CMC. That's what you're saying.
well, I'm saying this. I'm saying either accept your fate that you're not going to win this year and just deal with it and stick with your decently young squad other than CMC, or use a player like CMC, like Evan Ingram, and like take some of the pieces that might not help you next year and sell them and accrue capital for the future,
Yeah,
or make yourself deeper with maybe less effective pieces now. So
yeah,
like maybe get 2 pieces that are, maybe it's like a second and a number 2, number 3 wide receiver for Evan Ingram. Maybe you get a wide receiver and a running back for CMC, and now you're deeper and still competitive.
yeah.
I
One,
it's
what?
You never know in dynasty, so maybe you go all the way, but without, when Daniel Jones gets healthy, is he? I hate to say it, I'm a Giants fan. Is he a quarterback? Is he even a
He looked
quarterback?
like the quarterback last season. One final point
Yeah.
about this team that I feel like we haven't talked about is just Javante Williams. Definitely been a bust this season.
Yeah, but
You really
I mean,
have to hope he.
anyone who thought he was going to be good, it was a wish, because you cannot bet on a
Yes.
running backs with bad knees. You can bet on a wide receiver with bad knees because wide receivers can be schemed open. They can put people around the wide receiver to go deep, and then you just turn around while everyone else goes deep and you catch a football. running backs they have no friends. Their linemen either block for them or they don't, and there's nobody else hiding the running back. If the ball is handed off to you, you have the ball. There's no confusion with who are we passing it to.
And there's
So Javonte is going to be okay. Will he have a smaller lifespan because of his injury? Yes. In 2024, 2025, he might be a very good RB1 late, back end RB1, high end RB2, and he'll be good for your team. But like he might even be someone that you'd be willing to sell because someone else is looking for a future in Javonte Williams when you're like, you know what, I kind of want to do things now.
yeah,
So
not a bad point.
I
Right.
love the player. His scenario sucks for fantasy football.
Yep, for sure. So definitely going to be interesting to see what this team does. I don't know. They got to kind of make a decision on what's their next move. To be honest, there. All right, only three more teams. I would say let's go to your team now. Your team. So 3-3. I'm not sure how you feel about that. If that's definitely a direction that you're
Three
positive.
and three is awesome.
Awesome. But
3-3 is awesome because there is a world where I'm 0-6.
that is very true. But I would say here, the main point that we really do, we need to scroll down here. 424 first right there. That is a beautiful sight to see. Samala's team we'll get into, but it definitely is not going to be the best kind of moving forward. He kind of just sold some pieces, so I think he kind of knows his fate there. Santana's team we're also going to get into, not the best team. We'll kind of get into there. And then you kind of have some two middle teams here with Alexis's and Joe and Kyle. So these are some high up. These are definitely going to be like some potentially all four of these can be some top 6, top 8 picks. So that's
Yep.
really great to see. The ones that you're really looking at are Samala's and Santana's. Those have really strong potential to be 2 top 3 picks. So really, really awesome stuff to see there.
Yeah.
And then kind of going to your wide receivers is something that I'm really encouraged about. Drake London, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jordan Addison are wide receivers you want for your future. Jacoby Myers, sneaky here. Very, very, very sneaky. Is he
I
going to be
love
part of the
Jacoby.
team moving forward? Like that is an
Yes.
awesome piece to have right there.
Don't even ask for him. I love him.
And then obviously you love quarterbacks. This league, any single league you're in, you want all of the quarterbacks so you can sell all of them. You have Tua, you got Justin Herbert, I believe, this past summer, which was an awesome deal for you. Let's kind of look at this really quick. You got Justin Herbert and a first for Devontae Adams, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, and a first. So some first swaps there. So very, very cool stuff that you kind of did there. You have Kyler Murray on the come up and Sam Howell, who has been pretty decent and looking like he's going to be starting for the Commanders for maybe the next year or two if they decide to do that. So you definitely got some depth here. I love the team build here. You're strong at quarterback. You're getting strong at wide receiver, and the only thing that lacks is running backs. But why do you want strong running backs if your team is not really towards contending mode? So overall, some pretty good stuff here, and I'm sure you're pretty happy about it. I'm sure you're kind of bummed about Treylon Burks, but he's not completely outriven. Like he's been injured. Let's see what happens with him kind of moving forward and maybe even next season. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I need to make a move at running back and tight end and continue to build my wide receiver base. Uh, Obviously, I think the only mistake that I've made thus far is assuming that the youth will definitely succeed. Like Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be just fine. But for this year, I assumed he was going to
Be better.
overtake Tyler Lockett. I thought he was going to overtake Tyler Lockett and be like the guy, which it's still in the world of possibilities.
Yeah,
But
it's only week 7.
yeah, up until this point, he is not. So if JSN takes over, if Jordan Addison now with the opening of Justin Jefferson being hurt takes over, if Drake London continues to progress, which he's been doing, which is awesome, I can get out of the bottom of the pack. Now, because I'm currently in the bottom of the pack, and there's still a world where I stay at the bottom of the pack, um, my only mistake in terms of my rebuild that I made was assuming that I would score more points and giving away my draft pick because I assumed I wouldn't be a bottom 3 team. I assumed I'd be like a 5, 6, 7, sorry, a 4th, 5th, 6th place team, and that my pick wouldn't be that high compared to the picks that I received. And
But that's
again,
not out of the realm of
Alexis,
possibilities there. That is
yeah,
not. You're
yeah, it's still,
still.
it's still
I
there.
don't
Yeah,
know if 4 is going to be there, but I think like maybe a 5, 6, 7 is
yeah,
still in the works here.
yeah. Which would make me very happy. Which is why when your first sentence was like, "Oh, like 3-3, do we like that?" I'm like, "Yes, I like that a lot." If by some miracle I can be 4-3 after this week, I'm really not. It doesn't look like I'm gonna, but you just don't know in fantasy. That would be really amazing. But the picks that I have are currently 101, 102, 104, and 106, 107, 108.
You
Where's
have
Lexi again?
101, 102. He's number, so that's the
Oh,
109 and 105. So 101,
105.
102, 105, 109.
So, like, here's the truth. If it stayed that way, I'd be completely content.
Yeah,
If
that's
it,
awesome.
yeah, if it moves around and I get like if I can beat out AR-15 and continues to drop and I stay right
Who you
around.
facing this week? Who you facing? So you're actually facing
I've Yeah,
AR-15. So
that's
that's
why
a
I'm saying like
big matchup.
I would be very lucky to win this week because it would be a big deal. It would be a very big deal. It's very unlikely, but again, we just don't know. It's fantasy football. It is what it is.
It is.
Um, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on my team because we all know that it's a pure rebuild.
Yeah, but
Um,
you're doing it good. You're not on the bottom of the standing, so and we don't want to give Mac that first pick. So that's a good job right there.
yes, yes.
Yes, we're all against Mac at this point.
Yeah, get
Uh,
the freak out of here.
all right, so only 2 more teams to talk about. Should be pretty brief. So one team is definitely Samala's team. Kind of really need to figure out where we're going with here. He sold Patrick Mahomes for Aaron Rodgers and a whole bunch of picks. Aaron
Woof.
Rodgers, 3 first, 2 seconds, and a third. But Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. Actually, Aaron Rodgers might come back. That's the speculation.
There
We'll
is
see.
a world where Aaron Rodgers comes back. Like it's just so devastating because I mean those picks are awesome. Like great. You
Oh,
have so many picks. You're definitely a rebuilding team. Like good for you. But like
it,
dang.
it stacks
Dang
up.
to lose that quarterback. Like I had Aaron Rodgers in 3 leagues. Sorry, 2 leagues of my 3 leagues and I was like, this is great. I'm gonna have a all pro quarterback for 2 years. I'm chilling. This is great. I'll be able to recruit, I'll be able to draft young quarterbacks to be his replacement real soon. And he's just immediately died.
Yeah,
It's devastating.
I would say the Aaron Rodgers thing is definitely very very tragic. Especially, yeah, I'm a Jets fan. It sucks. Like literally on the what was it, the third play of the
Oh,
game. Like it's
that oh.
so stupid. Whatever. Of
Did you see it though? Did you zoom in on it? It was horrible.
course. Oh my God. Yeah, the videos of it being ruptured is pretty disgusting. But
It
it
just
happened.
jumps.
But I would say Samala definitely needs to make a decision, and I think the decision is being made for him. He needs to sell Eckler. He needs to sell Keenan Allen. I guess keep Calvin Ridley to see if he recoups some value here. Aaron Jones needs to go. Um, I don't know, maybe even sell Aaron Rodgers at this point. But Samala has a lot of picks, and that's definitely in his favor. But he needs to get some. He
No, he
needs
has
to
a lot of
sell
picks.
some.
Is it Oh, it's a lot of all right. It's a lot of 2024 middle round stuff.
Yeah, little
Okay.
sex. That's what I think he needs to get some of those turns to some first. I don't know. He needs to start manipulating some things here. Like he, I've definitely don't.
He knows I've been talking to him. And
Oh,
I have first round picks, so
yeah. So I would say the biggest like positive here, I guess, is like Kenneth Walker, maybe. But like once again, he's kind of rebuilding. So is Kenneth Walker really useful like that? Sam
yeah.
Laporte has been awesome. Someone he's definitely keeping. Moving forward, is Jameson Williams going to do anything?
Miro, shut up.
So what? We're out here helping the people. We're out here helping the people. So I don't know. I think Small really needs to kind of like really figure out what he's kind of doing there. I think he sold Tony Pollard though, so I think that's the step in the right direction. Sold
Yeah.
up for Roshan Johnson in those 2 seconds, which Roshan Johnson definitely has some high upside. Dalton Schultz for Curtis Samuel. Okay, I guess sure. We'll kind of make those equal. So I don't know. He definitely has helped the Fountain of Youth to be better. So you have to think that he's like, all right, I'm calling it quits for the season. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
last one is Actually, our reigning champ is the worst team in the league, which is kind of
What
crazy.
an introduction.
What is literally insane? Like you don't really see that a lot. The person who won the league is literally the worst team in the league.
We
Um,
were all shocked. Let's be real.
oh, okay, it was pretty crazy that he made it, but he honestly George Kittle really made some noise for him. He
It
had
just
Justin
shows that any dreams can come true,
he
folks.
had Justin Jefferson, but then he sold them for T. Higgins and like a first or something like that. T. Higgins has obviously not been helping his team out this season. Been pretty
Luckily, he's still young. Like, don't
yeah.
freak out about T. Higgins. He's still young. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. So T. Higgins, two first for Justin Jefferson. Okay. I like hate it, but like don't hate it. Nico Collins has been pretty interesting. So it's actually kind of shocking. Nick Chubb out for the season. This team has some pieces, so it's very interesting. Santana put a message in the chat. All his QBs are for sale, but his QBs aren't like that strong. You got Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, and Russell Wilson basically on the block. Like, I don't know if anyone's jumping for joy to go get them right now. So,
Well, you know, I'll tell you which team should be.
who? Let's hear it.
Who's got Daniel Jones?
AR-15. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Listen,
Um,
I don't want you to do that because I need to be higher than you so that my draft pick is better. But that would be the
we're
smartest.
we're here to give the advice to the people. That's what we're here for. Because we're
Yeah, but
experts.
I also like money.
Yeah, we're experts. We need to give people. I want to say the shining star here is Zay Flowers. If you want to get rid of Zay Flowers, I'm your guy. I love him. I'll take him. He's gonna be
I'm
good.
your guy. I'm the
Um
rebuilder.
yeah, what? Okay. I'm kind of who knows what I'm doing.
What capital do you have? What do you have to give him?
I have all of my draft picks simmer down there.
Oh, oh,
Um
okay.
Jerry
So
Judy
you
has
want
been pretty disappointing. Rashi Rice on the come up? Question mark. Let's see. So I mean, this team has players, but I would say they're all like I don't want to call them like middle tier, but they all are low key like middle tier players. Like you don't really have anyone that is like
it looks like a rebuild.
bumbling studly
It looks like a rebuild.
rebuilding, but it
Get
also
rid of George Kittle. That's
doesn't
crazy.
really have
Get rid of
24
George
wins.
Kittle.
So I don't know. Santana,
Anybody over the age of 25, unless they're a quarterback, get the heck rid of them.
that's an
Terry
interesting
McLaurin,
point.
goodbye. George Kittle, goodbye.
DeAndre
Ramondre
Swift,
Stevenson,
DeAndre
goodbye.
Swift has been having a season.
I still would sell him,
Oh,
right?
100%. It would be
If
interesting to
you're
see
gonna
what this team
rebuild,
does.
you got to get rid of the running backs. They just got to go.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't
And
know.
I'm right here.
That's Santana's team. Definitely, I don't know. I think him and Samala are gonna swap spots here because I think Samala's team is gonna end up being the worst that's to come. So
They can do whatever they want as long as they both remain first and second.
that is you got their picks, and that's important. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like the layout here. Anything to kind of like look forward here, some matchups like just obviously we talked about Mac and Corey's team. Look at their projections and points already. Honestly, the Bash Bros are still up there as well. So it's definitely going to be an interesting end to this season here. And
Yeah,
where
it's
we're going to kind of
competitive.
and where we're
It's
going to
definitely competitive.
yes, it's definitely competitive. I would say the really two teams that are probably out of it is well, I guess maybe three teams. I don't want to call your team like complete out of it, but your goal is not to
Well,
like
yeah, I'm not
yeah,
gonna. You could say I'm out of it. Like I can
like
make the playoffs, but I'm not gonna win anything. Like
yeah,
that's fine.
like Samala's, Santana's, and your team. We'll see. Maybe AR-15. Bash Bros should probably go up there. It's gonna be a fight for these six spots all over again. So
Yeah,
it's gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna probably lose this week. I go down to 4-3, kind of depressed. So we'll see. We shall see. But all right, folks. Thank you for joining us and listening to us talk about football. Enjoy your Sunday fun day. Watching the games. And we hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.